Up until this point, what I've heard from the output of Dylan has all been either super early Dylan, the revolutionary, the iconoclast Dylan, and then I've heard a older version of Dylan, obviously still brilliant. But what I learned from that video of the track My Version of You, or My Own Version of You, from the comments was that he spent a period of time in the 90s and the 80s kind of trying to find himself once again. He had kind of lost his way creatively. He felt like he had become empty in a sense in terms of his creative output or inspiration. And so this is a track from that period. It's from 97. It's a donator suggested track by Rodney, who told me to check this one out. He thinks it's a brilliant choice to check out. So I'm super interested to hear this version of Dylan when he was in this space of maybe not having his full power in terms of his creative output or his creative genius, you could say. So let's check this one out. Hope you guys enjoy. Here we go, another Dylan track, Trying to Get to Heaven by Robert Zimmerman. Here we go. Wow, interesting sound, totally different.
The air is getting hotter. There's a rumbling in the skies. I've been wading through the high muddy water with the heat rising in my eyes. Every day your memory grows dimmer. It doesn't haunt me like it did before.
The faintest guitar bits in the back.
Walking through the middle of nowhere, trying to get to heaven before they close the door.
Okay, I mean, I really love the sound of this thing. Part of it is because I feel like it fits the theme of what Dylan is talking about, right? The idea of trying to get to heaven, and it has a very church-like feeling to it. And I think it comes from those organs in the background, that big sound that's happening, ever present in the back. And then you've got this kind of very easygoing groove to it too, which perfectly sets the scene for Dylan's writing. And I think his music tends to do this quite a lot, right? It makes space for the best part of his music, which I think is the songwriting as usual.
When I was in Missouri, they would not let me be. I had to leave there in a hurry. I only saw what they let me see. You broke a heart that loved you. Now you can seal up the book and not write anymore. I've been walking that lonesome valley, trying to get to heaven before they close the door.
Aren't we all, my friend? That I love that Dylan does that. He did that in that track. In the track, It's Alright Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, where he ends every verse with a certain phrase, a certain expression, but he twists it ever so slightly every time. He's doing it again. I've been walking through the middle of nowhere trying to get to heaven before they close the door. It's a beautifully poetic expression or phrase. Then he does it again, right? I've been walking that lonesome valley trying to get to heaven before they close the door. He seems to be doing it every time. Yep, there again. I love when he does that. It's just he adds a little twist that is more in relation to what he's just spoken about in that particular verse.
People on the platforms waiting for the trains. I can hear their hearts beating like pendulums swinging on chains. When you think that you've lost everything, find out you can always lose a little more. I'm just going down the road feeling bad, trying to get to heaven before they close the door.
That's deep, dude. Is that the harmonica? Dylan with the harmonica again, yeah? What's interesting is the music really sounds to me. I had the idea of like we're at church perhaps, and thus the idea of trying to get to heaven. You can imagine him on his knees, maybe praying. But as I listen to the song, specifically the imagery in his writing, I kind of imagine this track as being like a purgatory for Dylan. You know, he even speaks about in a line where people on the platforms waiting for the trains. I don't think he means like literally, perhaps like the idea of being in purgatory where people, their souls are kind of waiting to find out where they're going to go, heaven or to go to hell. Thus the name, trying to get to heaven, right? They're waiting on the platform, waiting to get to heaven. That's what I kind of imagine. Think of the music too, the way the music is, the organs in the background, so much of his lyricism too, like pendulums. That was a great line. I can hear their hearts are beating like pendulums swinging on chains. Whew. Kind of looking back at his life and everything that's done, right? He's speaking about past experiences when he was in Missouri. Maybe this is the idea of like judgment, your deeds being weighed up. He's watching it all happen in front of him.
I'm going down the river, down to New Orleans. They tell me everything is gonna be alright, but I don't know what alright even means. I was riding in a buggy with Miss Mary Jane. Miss Mary Jane got a house in Baltimore.
I think we know what he means by Mary Jane, right?
I've been all around the world, boys. I'm trying to get to heaven before they close the door. Gonna sleep down in the parlor and relive my dreams. I close my eyes and I wonder if everything is as hollow as it seems. Some trains don't pull no gamblers, no midnight ramblers like they did before. I've been to Sugar Town, I shook the sugar down. Now I'm trying to get to heaven before they close the door.
What a profound track. Wow. The idea of like a creative lull for Dylan, I don't think even exists, right? This is supposed to be his like wilderness period where he didn't know where he was artistically. I mean, he made a genius track if you ask me. I think what you just heard is like the insight into what it would be like to have been a absolute revolutionary artist in your early years, in your 20s and your 30s, having conquered the artistic world, have influenced a generation of musicians and artists, changed the world in a sense, and then what do you do with yourself afterwards? You know, you still want to make art, right? You still want to be a musician, you still want to have things to say, but it's like you've almost felt like you've said it all. It's been taken out of you almost. I remember watching a Bobby Fischer documentary, who's a brilliant chess genius from America, and he said after he won the world championship, he felt like something had been taken out of him, like he was just done, he felt empty. So maybe that's what Dylan was going through, and you know, you kind of get an insight into that, perhaps being in purgatory, like you've done so much and you're not old enough to die yet, and you're in this kind of middle ground. That's kind of what I've taken away from this track. And I think the idea of like being in purgatory, maybe it makes sense for me at least. That's what I heard from the music and his writing. He's talking about looking back on his old days. I like this line about some trains don't pull no gamblers, no midnight ramblers like they did before. Firstly, that sounds like a rap lyric, and I love it because of that. But the idea of like no midnight ramblers, that's a song, right? That's a rock song, No Midnight Ramblers. So it's like looking backwards. Lastly, speaking on the rap thing, I seen a quote from Dylan who was talking about rap music, and he said, you gotta love those guys, or wow, those guys really have something to say. And someone who is open-minded as that, I think we can all take a little piece of that, because I think that's awesome. That a musician who's done so much in his genre can look into another genre and appreciate it. I think it's dope, at least. Regardless, great track. Cheers to Rodney for having me listen to it. It was a very cool experience. And other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.